At this point, I want to thank you, Mr. Referee, for what you did in Dallas, because all you did was poke the bear named Dan Campbell.
Light the fire.
And we've gone to a Super Bowl. Huddle up, Lions Nation, it's Tank in for Mike, and guess what? We're going on to the next round against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are coming up. Hey, and as the reporter said, how are you going to prepare your team, coach, for the cold weather up there in Detroit? It's going to be negative 9,000, and the coach says we play in a dome. I got some stupid questions during a press conference.
Credit to Coach Todd Bowles.
He did.
Handling that with class.
Gentlemen, absolutely.
Well, they're playing indoors, and so it's not.
Here's
really
a cookie.
And,
thanks for playing. Here's a cookie.
So what it shows is that even though you and I every once in a while get some press credentials, we still have more knowledge than some of the other guys in that room.
Well, we talked earlier in the other segment about playing the game. You know, Mike played in the NFL. I played in the Mexican Football League. You never heard of it, I'm sure about it. Hey, I want to first of all, before we talk about the offense facing the Buccaneers this week, just real quick, and I want your opinion on this. Last week's game, Stafford, Goff. I have never seen a better performance from two quarterbacks in a single game going at each other, throwing darts. My entire life watching, they were both spot on. And I gotta say something. As we did our preview last week, I made it a clear point the way the Lions were going to win this game was to get Stafford off his mark and not comfortable. It came down to that, one of the last offensive plays. They got pressure on Stafford. He had to move his feet, and he threw the ball downfield. No good. So just a beautiful quarterbacking performance by both of them.
The last time I've seen that performance was when Jared Goff actually played for the Rams. And then they had Robert Woods, Brandon Cooks, Cooper Kupp, and Todd Gurley, and they were playing the Kansas City Chiefs. And I remember there was a shootout, high-scoring game between him and Patrick Mahomes. Jared Goff has that capability. He is that quarterback. He's smart. He sees the field well. He gets the ball out of his hand quick. He's extremely accurate, 22 for 27. Maybe missed one or two throws that, he maybe rushed, but for the most part, outstanding performance by him. Matthew Stafford, he made some phenomenal plays. Some of the throws that, now, you said we got to get him off the mark. We got to get him on his back. We got to make him uncomfortable. And, they beat him up. Early in his game, he cut his hand on a helmet.
Did you think he was coming back in the game? I thought he was dead
on that one. So the hand one with the bloody hand, okay, it happens all the time. I got the marks all over my hands. That happens.
The shoulder, though.
The one, it wasn't so much the shoulder. It looked like it was the ribs, how he went down. For a brief moment, you wonder, this independent neurosurgeon, psychologist, evaluator, how did they not say, look at the eyes kind of rolling back his head? But they let him go back out there.
Let me slam your head off this table.
And everyone in Detroit knows exactly how.
Was that an atmosphere?
Everyone knows how tough Matthew Stafford is. How he's been over the years. He's a competitor. He's tough. You weren't going to get him out of that game. But you did have to get him off the mark. You had to beat him up a little bit. You had to make him uncomfortable because he was still throwing some very good passes. And then finally, at the end, the defensive secondary started to step up. And you saw what happens is when they have to cover that entire field, you got the Lions, front seven. They can stop the run. I mean, they're top in the league, top 5 in the league, and stopping the run, and that's what they can do. They're able. Aaron Glenn's down up some pressures now. Now he's putting some pressure on his DBs by going a lot of man-to-man back there, and then trying to disguise in some zone. But when they have to defend that whole field, if they don't get home to the quarterback, or if that quarterback can buy time and get it out, that's when you see some of those big plays. But when they get down closer to the red zone,
they tighten up.
Field gets condensed.
They tighten up.
Now the defense, the secondary has a little help. They don't have to cover as much real estate back there. So that's when you see them tighten up, and that's when you saw the big play. They got a little bit of a penalty, and I'll tell you what, I was a little concerned with that. The 3rd and 4. It was a 3rd and 6. What was it? No, it was 3rd and 4. It was 3rd and 4.
They could have gone right in.
It's incomplete. They get a holding penalty. I'm thinking 4th and 4. Go ahead and let them try to field goal. Maybe it's a long field goal. Maybe they go for 2. What does Dan Campbell do? He says, take him back. Send him on the penalty. The defense struggled a little bit, but he still had faith that they could come through on a big play. So on 3rd and 14 now, they rise up. Yeah, was there a little grab? Maybe.
No,
you know what? The officials screwed the game earlier. They screwed up the game earlier.
You mean in Dallas?
No, in the game with the Rams. When the Lions were on offense and the Rams jumped off sides, and then they pushed. So that was a bad call. That would have extended Detroit's drive. So maybe it was a little bit of a makeup call. Maybe not. I don't know. But in the playoffs, the refs let the players play a little bit more aggressive. They always have. I didn't think it was that big of a tug of a jersey. It was a good pass breakup. Now, instead of kicking the field goal, Campbell, with that penalty, that 3rd and 14, now they have to punt. And then now the Lions can run. They only have 1 timeout left. I'm thinking Lions are going to go down and score. They're up by 1. They're going to keep the foot on the gas. They run the ball, force LA to use the timeout, and then what do? The very next play. They throw the football with no time.
Huevos.
And
Huevos.
To who? Amon-Ra St. Brown, the guy that is the workhorse, the guy that is definition of grit, the guy that had 16 guys drafted ahead of him, that he keeps a list in his locker, the guy that got snubbed from the Pro Bowl this year but made the All-Pro team.
Yeah, what does that tell you?
The guy is a stud,
Yep.
And what do? They go to their guy. He knows it's coming to him.
Huevos.
He finds a way to get open, and what does Jared Goff do? He sticks it right between the 1 and the 4. First down. We can kneel the clock and run it out. Awesome job by the Lions. They were able to close out that one against Matthew Stafford. They were able to get him on his back, make him uncomfortable. When the defense needed to, they stepped up. They got that win, 24-23. A little too close for me. Had me a little uncomfortable.
What, you don't like a little excitement in your evening?
However, Dan Campbell had the faith the entire time, and now they get a chance to take it to the Bucs. They faced them earlier this year.
Beautiful.
It'll be another good rematch. Can that secondary step up and hold it off? Can Aiden Hutchinson remain and keep that pressure on the quarterback?
No.
I saw a stat the other day. In the last 5 games, the last 3 games, he's the only player in the history of the NFL in the last 3 games to have 5 quarterback hits and 3 quarterback sacks per game.
Love it. One last thing I want to touch on when we recap the game from last week, moving us on to the Tampa Bay. Mike and I talked about, the importance of the offensive line going into the Rams game, and this line works like a symphony at times together. I'm going to close out the segment by saying this. You didn't see no Aaron Donald making no big plays after play after play. Kudos to the Detroit Lions offensive line for, I'm going to say it, shutting down Aaron Donald. They shut him down.
They did. There was a couple times he was able to maybe get a couple hurries on Jared Goff.
Don't care.
He kind of knew where he was.
What he's capable of.
Yes.
What he's capable of, Defensive Player of the Year. What he's capable of, Detroit Lions offensive line. When I see you guys, I'm all going to buy you a nice Diet Coca-Cola.
Well, what that does is it goes back, and let's talk about what Ben Johnson as the offensive coordinator, what they did in the game plan with Hank Fraley. What they did, they're like, we're not going to allow Aaron Donald to take over this game. So what they did was a couple times they double teamed him with the lineman, which essentially put the running back one-on-one with the linebacker.
Yep.
Now, a few times that linebacker won against the running back. However, it kept Aaron Donald at bay and kept Jared Goff.
I'd rather have the running back at a 50-50.
But you got to look at the game plan. The beauty what the Lions did. Let's make sure that Aaron Donald doesn't become our nightmare. Let's make some other guy do it, and we'll take our chances there.
Moving on to Tampa Bay.